Hey guys, it's Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge. Today we're taking a look at a full-size folder, aluminum handle scales, a sort of modified Tanto blackwash blade. We've got a knife with liners, so liner lock, wire clip, that goes really deep carry. This is an HX Outdoors knife. GearBest is calling it the E3. The actual model is ZD-013, which is what they should be calling it, but they're calling it the E3. So if I were you and you're looking for ways and places to buy this, I would do a search for HX Outdoors ZD-013. Also look for the E3 if you're looking on GearBest for it. You can't find it, but I will have links in the description below to make it easy for you to buy this. And by the way, if you use my links, I get a little bit of a referral fee. So I thank you very much for that. That really helps this channel out an awful lot. If my viewers weren't using those links, this channel would have long since just sort of fizzled away. But you guys are great. And now there's a bunch of you guys signing up for being Patreon supporters. I really appreciate that. At the very end of the month, I do a giveaway for my Patreon supporters. A knife that I reviewed that month, I give away to one of my Patreon supporters. So I've got links for Patreon down below if you want to become a Patreon supporter. And the knife will have a value of at least $35 US. So there you go. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you want the full review, stick around because we're going to the tabletop mode to look at this thing in detail. So there you go. That's what she looks like on the tabletop. It's a good looking knife for some people. Other people might think that this knife is ugly, and hey, that's totally fine. I try not to judge the looks of a knife too terribly significantly because, you know, looks are in the eye of the beholder. Some people like the way things look. Some people like different looks of stuff. I try to judge how well it's built, the materials used, you know, the mechanics of everything, and, you know, that kind of stuff as the primary kinds of things. Of course, my subjective feelings come into play as well. What do we got here? 9CR18 MOV stainless steel blade. I do wish they had a better blade for this, a better steel. 9CR18's okay. You know, it's not great. It's certainly not as good as 440C. It's not 12C27 Sandvik. It's not at that level. It's below that level. But it's not terrible steel. So that sort of tells you a little bit about what the steel is like. We've got this sort of drop point, and then it's got a flat end here, sort of like a clip point a little bit, I guess. I'm just going to call it a drop point modified Tanto. So we've got a really shallow Tanto angle here. It's a saber grind here, a flat grind there, flat grind here, a bit of a recurve. The transition I've been able to keep when I sharpened it. You can see it right there at that angle. It's easy to round that over because of how shallow that transition is. So you got to be really careful when you're sharpening. Like I said, slight recurve here. We've got big thumb studs. Easy to get at those if you want to use the thumb studs to open the knife. Very, very simple. Works just fine because of that assisted spring in there. The flipper works great as well. You have a little bit of jimping on the liner lock, and that's it. Well, back up here too, but that's hardly jimping. It's very spaced out quite a bit, and they're not very deep. The liner lock release is pretty good. The jimping on it helps you get at it. The lockup point is quite good for a new knife. Lockup is solid. No blade play up and down, back and forth. None of that problem. A little bit of jimping on the spine here for your thumb rest. And it's, you know, it's a gentle enough jimping that it doesn't create hot spots in your hand while you're using it if you're cutting for a while. What can get bothersome if you're cutting for a while in your left hand is this wire clip. because that wire clip stands out quite a ways. And, it just sort of is, it just gets a little bit hot right there in the right hand, in the left hand. In the right hand, you get the soft part of your palm right here over that wire clip, and no problems at all. You can cut for a really long time if you're right-handed. The wire clip can't be changed. It's that side only. You could remove it, but you can't change it to the other side. Very deep carry with that pocket clip. I showed the E3 there before. You've got a little bit of that sort of milling out there. A little bit up here. You've got this sort of V cut in here. It's supposed to make it look like the knife was sort of folded a little bit. A little bit of pressure was, somebody grabbed it and made a fold. That's sort of what that's supposed to look like, I guess. And then we got this chamfer ring down here. It's sort of rounded off. You do have an index finger choil, sort of. There's that little bit of a separation because of this bit of steel right here. Fairly comfortable in reverse kind of grips. You hold it that way. It's not that bad in the left hand because now the soft part of the hand is on that wire clip. If you did a reverse, now your fingers are again on that clip area right there. I've got very little room here, so I got to be very ginger when I turn it around. So that grip's pretty good. Not bad. A little bit hot spot, like on the thumb right there with that wire clip again. I'm really not sure what I want to think of that wire clip. It's got some pluses. It's got some negatives. You can do a pinch grip quite easily on here like this if you want to use it for some delicate cutting. You can get quite comfortable that way and quite a secure grip. Your thumb across the back here works okay in the right hand. The wire clip again gets a little bit in the way right there because of how, see that wire just sort of sticks out right there. If you put your thumb up across that, that's painful. So you have to think about where you put your thumb. I don't like to think about where I'm holding a knife. I like to just grab it and hold it and have it be sort of natural. So there's that. With the other hand, it's even worse because the thumb doesn't want to go way up here. And especially this way, it's actually, it's more comfortable in the left because the wire is up higher and you tend to hold it back here. At least I do. So in some ways, the left hand's better. In some ways, the right hand's better for various grips. Not a big deal. I'll show you the insides of the knife, show you how the pivot's been built, all of that stuff. I'll show you that there's no skeletonizing here. Because there's no skeletonizing in there, it's really easy to clean this knife out because you just got smooth surfaces in there and nothing for it to get caught on. You've got your one pillar here and then your pivot. There's a hole through the pillar and that's where you can put your lanyard if you want to. That works quite well. I'm a little disappointed in that because it looks like they had somebody with a flat screwdriver who hasn't used a screwdriver before who put this together. There's just a little bit of damage on each of these screws. And some of them, there's a lot of damage, like this one on this side here. Okay, and now it's time to actually see what this pocket clip looks like in a pair of pants and what it does. So you put the knife in the pants and it goes nice and deep. It holds fairly well and there's not that much to look at because of that pocket clip. And that's the good thing. It holds fairly well. It's got pretty good grip. One thing I don't like about this is since it was shipped, overseas by boat, it had experienced a lot of vibration. You take a look at the pocket clip right there. There's a good angle right there. And you can tell that the pocket clip had moved back and forth. It scraped off some of the paint off this aluminum. I don't know if I can blame the factory on that. That probably happened during shipping. In a way, you can sort of blame the factory for that because they should have packed it better. This just had a little thin plastic sleeve. They should have maybe used a bubble wrap sleeve and then put it inside the box. And it would have been able to handle more of that rough action while it was being shipped. So there you go. Let's do the sizes of everything, and we'll zoom in so you can take a closer look at this knife. Cutting edge, 9.25 centimeters, 3.64 inches. Blade length, so end of the handle to the tip of the blade, 9.35 centimeters, which is 3.68 inches. Blade thickness is 3.33 millimeters, which is 0.13 inches. The blade depth at this spot right where I'm touching it, 2.92 centimeters, 1.15 inches. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, that's 0.7 millimeters, which is 0.0275 inches. 0.6 would have been nicer. 0.7 is just a little bit thick. Not terrible, but not great. Let's talk about the handle now. Handle length, 12.2 centimeters, 4.8 inches. Grip area, 9.6 centimeters, 3.78 inches. The depth, and I measured right here in the middle where this sort of fake fold is, 2.85 centimeters, 1.12 inches. And then the handle thickness, not counting the pocket clip, is 1.65 centimeters, 0.649 inches. Most knives try to be right at about half an inch. The total length of the knife with the blade deployed is 21.4 centimeters, 8.43 inches. How much does this bad boy weigh? 186 grams, 6.55 ounces. So it looks like it's overbuilt. It looks like it's a heavy knife, and it is a heavy knife. It's not, obese kind of heavy, but it's heavier than it could be. Like I mentioned before, if they would have skeletonized the liners, they could have lost a little bit of weight. For a knife that's, not quite 8.5 inches, I would hope that it would be, closer to the 5 ounce mark instead of 6.5. How much does this knife cost? With it having an assisted spring in there, there's a lot of places that can't have this knife. I don't know if there's countries in Europe that allow this knife in or not, but I'm going to give you the prices for North America and Europe. United States, US dollars, $22.24, plus a couple bucks for shipping. Canadian, $28.24, just a little bit less than $3 for shipping. Euros, 18.53, less than 2 euros for shipping. And pounds, 16.49, and about 1.6 pounds for shipping. So it's not a crazily expensive knife. If you're looking for an action knife in a big size and you like Tantos and you like this sort of black-gray color, this might be a knife you want to consider. This is one of those knives that you're going to really have to want visually before you buy it, because mechanically and materials-wise, there's nothing outstanding here. It's not terrible, but it's just sort of hum-ho, average kind of knife. The lanyard pillar is the interesting kind of thing here. You don't see that terribly often, although you do see that sometimes, having a hollow pillar that you can put your lanyard cable through. Wire clips, again, you don't see them super often, but when you see them, you like them to perform better than this, but this is done okay. How comfortable is it to hold? Most grips, it's okay. The lock performs fairly well. Oh, let's cut some stuff. I have sharpened this on my own, as I mentioned before. And here's some really light paper. And just a push cut, trying to cut in the same spot all the way down. Almost anybody can cut like this with all kinds of knives. It's actually not that hard to do, but just cutting on the same spot. The tip nice and sharp. So you can sharpen it quite nice. The tip is very pointy. It has a little bit of the swedge coming down to there, so it's a fairly strong tip. Not super strong, but fairly so. A little bit more heavy-duty paper. It likes cutting that stuff, no problem. And it doesn't hurt the edge at all. We've got some maple here. Maple is a fairly hard wood, and I want to cut here without sending everything flying. And I'm trying to cut in a controlled way here. So not bad for cutting. Yeah, it kept the edge quite sharp there. So there's the knife. Technically, it really is the ZD-013. There's their HX Outdoors logo, hallmark. So there you go. That's what we're looking at today. Thanks for watching me on this Monday. If you're a Patreon supporter, thank you so much. We're getting really, really close to the end of the month. If you're not yet a Patreon supporter, as I mentioned earlier, $2 a month is what gets you in for that draw if you want to donate to the channel and help me out. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing, and all that other really good stuff you guys do for me. Please notice below that my Facebook channel has changed. I got it set up properly now, but it's a little different address. Facebook.com/Canadian Cutting Edge. That's the new one. Till next time, remember, always cut towards your chum, not your bloomin' thumb.